Welcome back to episode 287 of the God and Guns podcast. I'm your host, Troy.
And I'm your other host, Doug.
We use this podcast to talk about God, guns, and the responsible Christian gun owners' interest. In this week's show, we'll be talking about peace and love, brother.
Peace and love. All right.
Peace and love.
I like the new intro, too. That's cool.
Working on it. We're going to adjust that volume a little bit. If you guys like it, let us know. I know it probably blew your eardrums out when it started. I didn't realize that when I made it into video, it would bring in that much audio. I can adjust that. I almost did it before the show, but I didn't have enough time. But we'll thank our bandwidth sponsors. We'll thank Oath Keepers TV for hosting our shows over there, Strike TV, all those different platforms we're on over there. And we want to thank Farms Radio Network, of course, for sponsoring all our podcast information out there for you guys to download at your convenience. Also want to thank
Crossbreed Holsters. Hey, you've heard us talk about it. If you're carrying a gun on your person in your vehicle, or if your wife's got one in her pocketbook, check our buddies out at Crossbreed. They got a holster for you, and they make some really comfortable stuff. So check them out at crossbreedholsters.com. Carry the cross. Also, PowerTac lights. If you're looking for a flashlight that is bright for a gun light, headlamp, just a little light to carry around in your pocket of your vehicle, PowerTac has a light for you, and they give you a great discount code of 40% for just listening to the show. So go check our buddies out, PowerTac.com.
Good deal. What have you been doing this week for God and Guns?
Man, I have been trying to kill some deer this week. I took a couple days. I took yesterday and Tuesday off. But I ain't gonna lie, dude. I pulled a couple rookie mistakes that were just bad, and it cost me a couple deer.
Oh,
so I'm going. Hey, it happens to all of us. So I'm going to fess up to it. So I was walking to my stand. I always walk with a round in the gun, chambered, ready to go, just in case you jump something or something jumps out in front of you. You can go ahead and take it down if you need to. So I had it loaded. Got to my stand. I was hunting out of my climber. So I unloaded the gun, being safe. Unloaded it, tied my string to it, and I'm hunting out of a portable climber. So up the tree I went. I get up there. I got 2 phone calls and a couple text messages before I pull my gun up. So I went ahead and pulled the gun up on the rope, and when I laid it across the end of my stand, that's all I did. I put it across the end of my stand. We're right at dark. Had a big old doe come in. I was fixing to shoot her, and I was raised up on her, and she was broadside, and I pulled the trigger, and it went click.
Oh,
no. I was like, oh, no. And then I realized what I'd done. I hadn't put a round back in it. So I tried to get one in, but it was too late after that point.
They heard the click.
Oh, yeah. She heard the click, and she didn't like that at all.
She gone.
Yeah, she was gone. So the next morning, yesterday morning, I got in the stand about 7:30. I had a nice buck come down through the woods, came right to me. And I don't know about you, but my deer hunting rifles for years, I have always sighted them in an inch high at 100 yards. If I reach on out to 250 or better, I don't have a whole lot of holdover. I don't have to think about it. And if I got something really close, I don't have to think about it. The bullet's just going to be there. Well, I sighted the rifle in the other day with at 100 yards, dead on the money. I didn't give it that little extra elevation. Yeah, my rifle has a 50 millimeter on it, so it's got a high set of rings on it, so it sets it up a little bit higher. And this buck came in at probably 25, 30 yards, stopped broadside, looked at me. I was like, oh, yeah, he's a shooter. And he was a shooter. And I drawed down on him, bam, pulled the trigger. He jumped, went about 20 yards, and stopped and was looking around. So I eased the bolt back. The shell kicked out. And I just went forward and locked it back in. And he was standing behind a couple trees. I'm waiting on him. I'm looking. I was like, take one step, and I'm going to take you. And I was going to put it. I didn't have no idea I missed him the first round. I thought it went through double lung, and he was just standing there fixing to fall over. And he took that extra step. Click. I was like, oh, no. I had short.
And he stroked it all the way back.
I didn't stroke it all the way back to the back. It ejected the shell out.
Yeah. Didn't reset the hammer.
Well, it didn't pick up another round.
Oh, it didn't pick up another. Oh, I thought maybe you didn't reset your hammer.
It's got a long bolt on it, so you got to go all the way back with it. And I was like, I pulled that trigger and nothing happened. And he just kind of trotted up the hill. He wasn't acting like a deer that just got shot at 20 yards, from a 30-06. And I thought he was going to go up on the hill and lay down. And we got down. And my buddy Joel came down and helped me out. We were going to look for it. Dude, I tell you, if you ever lose this feeling, it's time to quit. I was not nervous. I didn't even think about it. I made my shot. And I went to make my second shot when the deer took off. My buddy texted me. He goes, "Who shot?" And I said, "Yeah, it was me." I just texted him. I said, "Me." And he texted me back. He said, "What'd you shoot at? What was it?" I was trying to text him, man, and my hands was sitting there shaking. I'd done got so much adrenaline and amped up. I had to call him. I couldn't even text him. I couldn't even hit a key right on that little keyboard. So
I know that.
We looked for over an hour for that deer, trying to see if we could find blood, anything. And I went back after we pretty much give up. I was taking my tree stand down because I was coming home, and I went back over to look one more time where he was standing, and I actually found the impact in the ground where the bullet hit and blowed a big hunk of dirt up in the air and stuff.
No blood.
So, no, there wasn't. And I missed him clean. I think I shot under what I was. He was so close. I was trying for a heart shot right on him, and when I pulled the trigger, I think I just shot right under him, and I missed him. So it happens. So my buddy Andy has already
been commenting.
Oh yeah. He's already decided that next time he sees me, he's going to cut my shirt tail off. So I just have to make sure that when I do see him, I'll put an old shirt on. But that was a highlight of the last couple of days. Rookie mistakes, man. I don't know what was wrong with me. I just wasn't in the groove, I guess. Once I get that first one under my belt, but I can tell you what, right at dark, sitting in the woods, I could see right around me, but I had my handheld thermal with me, and it got dark up in the woods. I couldn't see nothing in the woods. I just pulled that handheld thermal out and was looking, and that's how I saw the deer coming. I was like, "Oh, okay, we got one coming." But then I could see her. Through the scope, once she got into that little open spot where I still had light. So it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tonight I had a surprise birthday party. It was a surprise. It's my birthday was mid-October.
That's what I was thinking. It's been a while.
It has. And one of my granddaughters' birthday is tomorrow. She's going to be 2. So happy birthday, Riley. And so Wendy and the girls and everybody and all the grandbabies, we all converged on Outback a little while ago. And so it was fun. We had a good time.
I haven't been out back a long time.
I actually, believe it or not, I got a ribeye, and it was probably one of the best steaks I've had in a while.
Oh, yeah?
Tender. It was good. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Last time I ate there, I got a steak, and it was, they had so much seasoning on it. It was like, I don't know if they had like drinks that they were trying to get us to buy or what. It had so much salt on it. I couldn't eat the thing. I finally said, I can't eat this, too much salt. But I mean, that was the one that in the part of town that I probably shouldn't have ate it anyway. But some of them were good, and some of them were bad. Just hit and miss, seems like.
Yeah. I went down there on this trip because 4 years ago to the day, that's what I was doing when Trump got elected. We were hunting. We watched the election and then went hunting the next morning. And when we got up, they said Trump had won. So we didn't want to break tradition on this one. We thought we'd do it again. And Steve over on YouTube said that it's because of the election. Had me all out of kilter. And it probably did. I was already flustered.
Oh, yeah. It's been some week for sure.
It's going to be another one probably.
Or 3 or 6, or who knows.
Right.
Well, I got your guide goods. Well, God's side, Daily Bible Reading had Church Security Sunday. We'll have it again this Sunday. I'm training a new guy, so that's going to be good. And I got another guy to train after that, sounds like. So our security team is increasing in size, which is good because it doesn't wear out the other ones, and everybody gets their turn in the box. So,
yeah.
a little video room. But it's it's been a crazy week so far. So I fasted from when we got off the show last week until, let's see, until this morning, in the wee hours this morning. And I finally said, looks like this thing's going to litigation and it may be the Supreme Court before we ever hear something. So I broke my fast in the wee hours this morning. I just couldn't. I mean, I could have probably kept going, but I was done. Sometimes when I fast, I can just keep on going. I don't really have trouble, and I go for longer. But I was working on the 6th day and just said, I'm ready to eat. So broke the fast. So that was a pretty long one. That was 5.5, 6 days. Was into the 6th day, and it's like I've prayed and I've fasted and I've been obedient, and it doesn't rely upon me. God's in control. But I just felt like I needed to be praying, and I tell you, it was the most effective prayer I think I've had. I felt most connected with God that I felt in any of my fast. I was very clear. I was very, I wasn't distracted. I was able to focus in, and felt like I was really communicating well, and felt like my prayers were being heard, and I was at peace with whatever happens. I know God's in control, and so that I did. The fasting. I did a couple episodes. I did a prayer morning thing on the morning of the election, I think it was, and then did another one the next day in the truck. And just been following this thing with a light touch. I mean, I post a lot of stuff, but I really, I'm trying to keep busy with other things. Been working on the farm, and get some comments about guns over here.
I'm trying to keep up on both of them.
Yeah, but it was a good fast, and I'm glad I did it. I started easing back into food. You have to, however long you fast, you should spend about half that amount of time eating very simple, easy to digest foods, so that your stomach can get used to it. And I can tell that my stomach had shrank because I can only eat about 1/3 of what I would normally eat, and I was full. I mean, I was full like right after I started. I felt like, oh, I'm full, because all I've been doing is drinking water. I drank coffee a couple of days just to ease off the caffeine headaches and stuff like that, but no calories, no sugars and creams and all that stuff, just plain black coffee. But it was a good fast. I'm glad I did it. Probably will do another longer fast again. I'm giving my body time to get back on its regular schedule. I lost 16.5 pounds in those days. But a lot of that was, a lot of that's water when you just quit eating. A lot of that's water, and a lot of it's just emptying out your gut. All of that stuff comes out. And so it was good for me health-wise, too, because I felt a lot better. I was feeling a little, had a lot of inflammation, a lot of pains and stuff, and all that stuff went away after the second day. And I feel a whole lot better, feel a lot more relaxed, feel a lot more calm. Just not really worried about anything. I'm just good to go. On the gun side, didn't do a lot other than I tinkered with the X2 dev group, flash hider, all kinds of goodies, things. There are gonna be some videos coming on this puppy because, man, I love it.
Really?
I'm gonna have a comparison video, and gonna have with the barking spider, and then I've got the what have I got on the I got the Falcor's got its own proprietary brake, which is awesome brake, but if you're shooting online with people, they will hate your guts because it blows their hats off and blows their shooting glasses sideways. It blows out to the sides. Boy, I'll hold that rifle down. But this one is going to be a flat shooter as well, short barrel. So we'll do some video comparison of that. I got to recruit Gunner and Audrey and some other family members maybe to help me out.
So you did pull the trigger on it already?
I like it.
Mm.
Yep. I'm gonna make sure I've got the Go Fast trigger in it, and we'll see if we can get some speed out of it. So, gonna do that. What else I did? Worked on the Scout some more. Turned the engine over. Found a gas tank for it. Used one for $100. But it's been repaired. I'm waiting for them to send some pictures back of the bottom of it because everything looks good, but they didn't show the bottom. I'm worried that the bottom is Swiss cheese. So we'll have to see what it looks like for that. And then I got in some more parts, and I've replaced some more electrical, and I've got wiring on order. And thanks for you guys that sent me all kinds of links to different sites that have Scout parts and Scout wiring harnesses and just general wiring harnesses. I got to do a little research because I think I can do it. I mean, I did wiring and termination as an electrical technician when I started working at the company my dad started. I started out as a mechanical tech and then electrical tech, and worked my way up, worked every job in the company all the way up to sales manager and then plant manager. So I know how to do it. It's just a matter of making sure I get the right materials and the right connectors and all that stuff. And if I can find a kit that's not astronomical, I mean, even the one do-it-yourself kind of kits are like $500. And so I'm going to try to find a reasonable price do-it-yourself kit with the right connectors, because a lot of the electrical components are just they're gone. They're just corroded beyond repair. I've sprayed a lot of them down with electrical cleaner and brushed them and stuff. There's just not enough material left there to work with. So, it's going to be cheaper probably to replace them as I go, and just it's going to be a winter project. We're going to work with through it. I've got a couple of heaters in the garage, and it's pretty well insulated. I'm going to get some insulation foam and stick in the doors to help insulate a little bit more. So be working in the garage. I need to build a shop. I keep putting it off. I need to build a shop. What else did I do? That's pretty much it. I did a couple of reloading things. Worked in my reloading area here in the bunker, and have straightened it out pretty good. I've got got the shotgun reloaders all moved over to another bench and getting ready to mount them on a universal plate so I could just pull one off and slide another one into the spot and drop the holes in. I've got some bases ordered all that are the same, so I can just take one reloader off and put it into a storage rack and then put another one on the bench so I don't tap both my benches with reloaders and make them totally useless for anything else. So working on some of that stuff just here and outside. Cattle have a little bit of problems. The well is gone out, and trying to get somebody to come and pull the pump or look at it and see what's going on with it. This is the third time in the last year and a half, I think, that the well's gone out. So I don't know what's going on. It worked, and then I turned it off because it was going to get down to 25 that night. And so I shut it off and unhooked the hose from it so it wouldn't freeze up and bust or anything. And went back the next morning. It was like almost 40. Turned the water back on and nothing. And so don't know what's going on. I moved the cattle in the lower pasture where they got the pond and creek to get water, and then probably going to have to get a trencher and run a new line, I think. So what I'm thinking, I think it's a line that's broke under the ground. The line my grandfather put in, who knows? Probably when I was a baby or before then, because I've had a couple breaks in line. It looks older than me, so probably gonna have to put a whole new line in out there. And then if I'm gonna do that, I'll probably go ahead and run another hydrant out to the other pasture so I can put another water tank out there. So that's pretty much all activity for me. What are you carrying tonight?
I just, like I said, we just got back to the restaurant, so got the Glock 19 with my Student of the Gun night vision sights on it, and it's newly cleaned. That was one of the other things I did. I cleaned my carry gun the other morning. And what else do I got? Oh, I got the Spartan auto knife. Oh, that's weird.
It disappeared.
You can see through it. Ooh.
It's
Anyway,
that right color or the right light, one or the other.
Yep, it's a Spartan auto knife. So actually, I like it. I like it a lot.
Look a lot. Good deal.
And that's all I got out here with me right at the moment.
I got the Glock 30S with the Surefire light and the Trijicon HD sights on it, and it's got a few other little hot rod stuff in it, but nothing too exciting. A little bit of a specialized trigger that's a little bit more of a clean break, not so spongy. You guys saw the bunker buster a while ago when I was showing you the flash on there, so that's sitting here beside me, and then all the usual stuff. So, we have any feedback?
I did not have any feedback. I looked on iTunes. We didn't have anything. So.
I get a lot of feedback from you guys about the Scout, and I appreciate that. I got some feedback about something else. What was it? I come to me later. You got a joke for us, though. I see.
I do. I don't think we've had this one, but it's called Wedding White. A little girl finally got to attend her first wedding she went to. While in the church, the girl asked her mom, "Why does the bride have a white dress?" The mother replied to her. She said, "Because it's the color of happiness, and it's the happiest day of her life." So the little girl sat for a moment and thought, and she said, "Well, why is the groom wearing black?" Oh, no, darling.
Shackles being put around his ankle, honey. That's what's happening. That's a good one. I like that one.
That was pretty good. I like.
Where'd you get that one from?
I don't know. One of those.
That's good.
One of those clean joke sites. I go out and try to find stuff.
Try to find something.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We got to catch up any comments. Yeah, 16.5 pounds. I weighed earlier and I've gained back 2 of those already, but as soon as I ate something, it wants to come right back. But I am, I can't eat nearly as much. So if I could just keep eating small meals, it'll probably help out as well. And I'm going to go to back to the intermittent fasting after I get my stomach broke back in. I'm going to do a couple of 3 meals a day, and then I'm going to go back to not eating any time before 12 and any time after 6 p.m. And so that would be intermittent fasting. It gives you 18 hours of not eating anything, and it helps. It helps with blood sugar if you got blood sugar issues. It helps with inflammation. It helps with lots of things. And it helps with weight loss. And so your body burns more of your stores when you're not eating, and it gives your digestive system time to takes time off, and it can work on your body can work on other things, other illnesses and injuries and things like that. White blood cells can go and work on those things. Free information for you right there.
Hey, on the YouTube side, I think it's YouTube. Yeah, I'm on YouTube. Our buddy Jeff, he had hit me up. I don't know, a couple months ago when early teal season was about to come in, and had asked me because if you know me, I like to duck hunt. So he'd asked me some questions about calls and shot size and different things, and he was going on his first duck hunt, but he was talking over on the comments a while ago that
he wearing you out in the comments.
He went on his first duck hunt, and I think I read he said he limited out. So he did. He said got my limit that day. So good deal. I can't wait to hear the stories. Always love to hear a good duck hunting story.
Yeah. Share pictures of your scout restoration. I took a couple pictures when I started, but when I'm handling that grease and stuff, I just don't really want to touch cameras, and maybe I can just like do a beginning of the day thing and the end of the day thing, and whenever I stop each day, take a picture of something, make a montage,
or you could just
video.
you could just set it up and do the speeded frames and show your whole day. Have it set up there. time
Yeah.
lapse.
Then you see my big fat butt getting up and down off the floor and grunting and groaning and rubbing my back,
Kicking the poor scout.
looking at my hand where I mashed it and cut myself on a wire rusty screw or something. I don't think that'd be very good entertainment. It might be good entertainment for you guys, but I just don't really want to put that out there. That SD, what is it? SD9VE. That's just a Glock, I think.
It is.
It's
Actually,
they got sued over that, I think.
they did. They sure did.
It was it's a nice gun. I've had 2 or 3 of those come through our concealed carry classes, and I'm like, it's just a Glock, buddy. it's a silver Glock, and
It's a Smith and Wesson, right?
yeah, it's
Smith and Wesson Glock.
They straight up stole the upper off a Glock. They did a little bit different stuff on the lower, but that upper is totally a Glock.
Yeah, they actually got sued for the action in it, for the striker and everything.
Yeah,
so
it's a good gun, and you can buy them cheap a lot of times. You can find them for like $300 most places.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could before the coronavirus and corona horse went riding through here, but
you can't buy nothing cheap anymore.
Every time our little Dandy Andy gets on, our little Adolph Andy here in Kentucky, it's our governor, my comment is always Adolph Andy riding his Corona horse around, striking fear wherever he goes.
Hey, I can honestly say congrats to Kentucky for their vote this week.
Yeah.
They did me proud, unlike the state I live in right now, where
you got a couple counties up there that are screwing up your state, just like we do here. If it weren't for Louisville and Lexington, maybe a little bit of Bowling Green, but it'd be 90-something%. It's ridiculous, but you gotta put them liberals somewhere. You might as well stick them all in a city together.
I've been thoroughly engaged with them the last 2 days, and I've been wearing them out.
I just it's in God's hands. That's peace and love, baby. So let's go to the Bible verses. There's nothing. I mean, at this point, there is nothing we can do.
No,
but pray and trust that we both lived through Obama and through the Clintons twice, and so man, we could put up Sleepy Joe and that little communist babe. If that's what happens, that's what happens. But I'm still praying. And I'm still hoping. And I keep hearing these rumors. I sent you some links about what I saw.
Yeah.
That this is some kind of sting, but I've heard these kind of things lots of times I've heard all these unsealed indictments and all this stuff. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm hoping that something cool like that, that we catch these people red-handed with their hands in the candy jar, but cookie jar, whatever you want to call it. But let's go to the Bible verses. So I'm in John 16 tonight. A little bit long verses compared to what I've been reading to you guys, but I think we need some long Bible verses. Go ahead and pop this up here. So can you still hear me? I guess I'll be up here in case you can't hear me. I've said these things to you in figures of speech. The hour is coming when I will no longer speak to you in figures of speech, but I will tell you plainly about the Father. In that day you will ask in my name. So when we pray in Jesus' name. I do not say to you that I will ask the Father on your behalf, for the Father himself loves you, because you have loved me and have believed that I came from God, and I came from the Father, and have come into the world, and now I am leaving the world and going to the Father. This is Jesus speaking, we know, because we see in red here. And his disciples said, now you're speaking plainly. Do not use figurative speech, because he always was talking in parables, right? He was always talking in ways that was confusing if you don't know the Old Testament, right? And these guys were young guys. These guys were somewhere between the ages of 14 and like 19, except for Peter, who I think it was like 20 or something, was married. But all these disciples are like, now we understand what you're saying. Now we do not. Now we know the that you know all things and you do not need anyone to question you. This is why we believe that you came from God. And Jesus answered him, do you now believe? Behold, the hour is coming. Indeed, it has come when you will be scattered, each to his own home, and will leave me alone. Yet I am not alone, for the Father is with me. I have said these things to you that you may have peace. In the world, you will not have. In the world, you will have tribulation. But take heart, I have overcome the world. And this last verse here is what we need to take to heart out of these verses. Well, all of it's very important, but we don't have to worry. We're going to have tribulation. God, Jesus himself told us they have persecuted me. They're going to persecute you. It's just going to happen, right? You got to accept it. It's the price we pay, that there is going to be persecution. And Americans have escaped that in the 20th century for the most part. I mean, we're starting to see a little bit of heat in the last 10 years or so, but nothing like the rest of the world, where more Christians have been killed in the last century than in any previous century by large numbers. And there's a lot of Christians martyred over the centuries. But we don't have to worry, because Jesus has overcome the world. He has already won. And we don't have to be in fear of what anyone's going to do, whether it's little old Sleepy Joe, creepy Sleepy Pedo Joe, or whether it's the Kamala Harris lady, or whatever other communists they try to stick in their places. What we have to know is that everything's in control. Jesus is in control. And we put our faith and trust in him anyway. Don't put our faith and trust in Trump. He's a man. He can fail just like everybody else. And so that's where my heart is after all this fasting and now after all this prayer, that we can have peace. We don't have to be worried. We don't have to be concerned. We don't have to be fretting over the society's fall. But we have a task that we're called to do. Jesus said if we love him, we will do what he asks. You remember Peter denied Jesus 3 times on the day that he was handed over, right? And 3 times before the crow, right? The cock crowed. And so Jesus came back to Peter, and 3 separate times he asked him, Peter, do you love me? And he said, yes, of course I love you. And then the next time he said, Peter, do you love me? He said, yes, Lord, you know I love you. Yeah. And the 3rd time he came back to Peter and said, Peter, do you love me? He said, you know all things. You know everything. Why do you keep asking me this? And he go feed my sheep. What he was wanting him to do is get to work. He didn't want him feeling sorry about what he'd messed up on. We as believers have failed, or in large part, I've failed. Maybe everybody else is perfect, but I have failed to share the gospel as I should personally. Now I do it here on the show, and I do it from time to time in public, but do I do it every single day? Do I do it in a proactive way? Am I looking forward every time I walk out the door? Who am I going to get to share Jesus with? No, I've failed at that. And I've been convicted by that Jesus is trying to tell us in talking about Peter's example. Peter had denied Christ 3 times. And Jesus foretold it. But then Jesus came back, and what did he do? He reconnected with Peter, and he gave him the opportunity to see that he still has the ability to serve, even though he failed and he denied Christ when he said he would fight till the death, right? He failed. But then Jesus kept saying, feed my sheep, right? Go out and tell the lost the good news that there is hope after death. There is judgment, but there is a way of salvation. And that way of salvation is through Jesus and Jesus alone. There is no other way. Jesus was sent to earth, down to earth by God, to become that living sacrifice, the only acceptable sacrifice by which we can be saved. It is a free gift, but it will cost you everything. It is a free gift that will cost you everything in the fact that you have to die to yourself, die to your passions, your desires, and follow after God. And that is the way that we come to salvation. We die to what we want. We accept that Jesus is the only way. We ask our sins to be forgiven. We ask that we might follow him. And then we commit to following him and die to ourselves each and every day. Lay down her life each and every day. That Jesus might be magnified and the flesh might be less. As Paul said, he must increase, I must decrease. And so my encouragement to you that this society, this humanity around us is dying and going to go to hell apart from you as a believer, the priesthood of believers. We're all called to share the gospel. If we are followers of Christ, we're to duplicate what we were given and show others the way. And you can't do that on social media. I mean, you can try. You might get slapped with a fake news or a fake information thing, and they might kick you off there. But you can do it. You can do it much better face to face amongst the people you're around. Start with your family and work out. And it's hard because you're trying to do it in your own power, your own spirit. You need to be read up in the scriptures, and you need to be prayed up in prayer with God, and then you need to step out on faith and just be willing and obedient to share the gospel. And God will and the Holy Spirit will do the convicting, and God will bring in the reap the harvest, right? And so we don't worry about whether or not they accept right then. We are sharing our testimony and what God has done in our lives, and giving them the scriptures they need to know in order that they might be able to accept and follow Jesus and point them in the right direction. Don't point them towards yourself. Don't point them towards your church. Don't point them towards your preacher. Point them to Jesus, because they may never go to the church. They may never pick up a Bible. They may never ever meet your pastor. But if you point them to Jesus in the scriptures, you show them in the scripture, you tell them the scriptures or recite the scriptures, and you give them a Bible, or you give them a tract or whatever, and you show them the way to find Jesus, because you are being obedient to God. Because if you love God, you do what he commands. He calls us all to go out, every one of us to go out and share the good news about what is the hope that we have in Jesus. And the rest of it's up to God, right? So that's all we got to do. And we need to be doing it, because our world is falling and going to hell. I mean, you can look at the election pattern. We're not going to win them by making them Republicans. We're not going to win them by making them Trump supporters. Now, we got really wrapped up in the politics because the first real pro-life president was Trump that I've had in my lifetime. I mean, the first guy I got to vote for was Reagan back in '84. That was the first president I got to vote for. But he wasn't, as far as I know, I don't remember. I mean, I know that he had sort of really conservative values, but I don't remember that he was a pro-life, drum beater, and like Trump has been. And he didn't do the things to stop the pedophiles like Trump has done. Not that the man is perfect in any way. He's very flawed, just as like I'm very flawed. Not as flawed as Doug, but I mean, my goodness.
That's right.
We're all flawed, okay? And God can use anybody. And I'm not saying Trump is God's agent. I've seen some Christians out there saying that. I don't know. I don't know the man's heart, but I do know these actions are speaking louder than any president previously. And if God chooses to allow him to be in office, then that's what's going to happen. If he does it, it's because we need some persecution as Christians to get off our duffs and quit thinking Trump's going to save the planet and start doing something on our own. Get off the social media and posting your little emojis and stuff. You got to have to talk to people. You got to do like Doug does. You got to evangelize them with the hunting. You got to do the same thing with going to church and knowing about Jesus and hearing the gospel message. And they're not going to hear that on Fox News, and they're not going to hear that on YouTube, or, well, they might hear it tonight on YouTube. But by and large, people will trust people who are in their face talking to them, and not in their face like, but in their face to face, talking to them, more than they're going to trust me and Doug on this podcast, or whatever you want to call it, this thing that we're doing right now. But that's my encouragement from John 16. I read verses 25 down through 33. And then the focus verse, of course, was 33, that we can have peace and we can not be worried because Jesus has already won. He won on the cross. And after that, the devil has no power on the priesthood of believers. He cannot prevail against the church. The church will always stand. A remnant of the church will always stand until he comes back. And so we can have faith and trust. Although we might be martyred, although we might be persecuted, although we might lose everything, we still have Christ, and that's more than anything here on this planet. It's going to rot and eventually burn away.
Yep.
All right, so that was my followers. You want to plug in anything there, Doug?
No, I agree with everything. I just I've heard people say, "Oh my, what are we going to do if Trump don't win?" I was like, "We're going to carry on just like we always do."
Yep.
I mean, we survived 8 years of Obama, you know, so we can do this.
8 years of Clinton with a Clinton gun ban. You remember that joke?
Yeah, I do.
I still got a gun from that era that had 10-round magazines.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, that Glock 20, I think, was during the Clinton era. It was, what, 93 when the Glock 20 came out, something like that. And I got a Mini 14 that doesn't have a threaded barrel or a flash hider on it because of Clinton crime, whatever the bill was, the Clinton stupid. That was a Brady bill, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The guy got shot because Hinckley shot him with a 22 because he was trying to kill Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
That's who it was. Yep. Bringing back some old memories now.
Yeah, you are.
Stupid 10-round magazines and no flash hiders, and it couldn't have no pistol grips either, could we?
Oh no.
Yeah, I got that. I found that at Ruger Mini 14 in a gun sock in a somewhere here in the bunker. About, what was it? About 6 months ago, maybe 9 months ago. I forgot it was in there. I was like, man, you put you to safe. Thinking I might be trading that puppy pretty soon. It might be worth 5 times what it is now if we have the wrong guy get in office.
Yeah.
I might have to keep it though. It don't have a pistol grip. I got a pistol grip and a folding stock for it over there. There's a folding stock pistol grip. It came out like the day after Brady was sunset. All right, peace and love. Our verses pretty much have to do with that. But my encouragement, and Doug, you jump in here. Don't let me hog the show. But I'm turning this thing off because it's distracting me. It's so bright. Got that out of here. Okay. But we have to show love, people, and I'm just as guilty of it as Doug is. I mean, we have to show love of Christ. We can't go out and beat people about the head because we're Republicans and they're Democrats. We're going to have to realize at the end of the day, we're responsible to show the love of Christ, and we can't live through politics. Now, we can defend ourselves. We have the right to defend ourselves. We have the right to vote. We have the right to speak our mind under the First Amendment, but we're called to do it in love. And that's hard when you get to the point where you hate. We have to realize these people are lost and they can't see the truth. Their eyes are blinded by the devil and their ears are stopped up by the devil. The God of this world has blinded them and stopped their ears up in the public school system, has indoctrinated them. And so they don't know what they don't know. And if you are just going to confront them with your righteousness and your authoritarianism, because I would be, and my wife's probably up there laughing right now if she's listening, because she's been beating me over the head. You got to quit talking about Democrats this way. I was like, how can a Christian be a Democrat? I just don't understand it. But I mean, I understand that the Democrats of our generation, Doug, grew up
not the same.
Not the same people. Now there were, in your liberal cities, they were the same people. But the people that we grew up with as Democrats, I mean, I was registered as a Democrat the first 4 years of my life because my mother was, my dad was a Republican, and the school counselor said you need to sign up as a Democrat because you can't vote for nothing if you don't sign up as a Democrat. And I kept hearing, and I'm like, well, I don't know. You can't vote unless you sign up for a Democrat. There ain't nobody to vote for. Republican. Ain't no. I was like, okay, put me down for a Democrat. And then I kept hearing Reagan, and then I kept hearing Jimmy Carter, and I was like, and other Democrats. I'm like, I'm more like him than I am like them, and so I switched. After for 4 years, I switched parties. Said I ain't like that. So, but the whole point is that parties have screwed up the country, literally. The parties are making at the top of it all. It's the same gang. You got the Republican arm, you got the Democrat arm, and they're fighting against each other. And all they're doing is raising money for this side because they're accusing the other side wanting to take this away, and the other side is accusing them this away, and they're both taking your rights away incrementally, taking away your right to speech, your right to assemble, your right to have whatever kind of gun you want. Both parties over the years have voted on both sides to keep chipping away until we're becoming slaves. We're heading towards communism, socialism. Once you hit that, baby, it's like somebody put some lube on that water slide, and you're gonna go right into communism.
Here you go.
Yeah, because if this country goes, the rest of the world's going to communism, because there is nowhere to run from here. And it's all dictators, communists, and just evil, sick people as leaders of other countries. Mm-hmm. And so we need to stand on our principles and things like that. But at the end of the day, if God says America's time's come and you guys are going to get persecuted because the church really gets in gear, buddy, when it gets a little fire under it. And if you look at the history of Israel, America's no different. Israel would go and they would start doing their sins, and they would start worshiping other gods, and they would go start doing stuff under trees. And I don't know what that was about, but it's really nasty apparently because God really got mad about it. And he would judge. Remember the judges, all the different judges in the Old Testament? He would judge the people of Israel, and they would get captured and put into bondage and enslaved, and they would be beaten, and they would be slaughtered, and and God did this to bring them back, to get them back on track, and they would come back and they would get back in the scriptures and they would get back right with God, right? God did that with his own chosen people. He's going to do it to American Christians. He's doing it to Christians around the world. You get out and start spreading the gospel, start showing love, quit having your own little parties and your own little clubs that, people come in. We all have these big social cookouts and stuff, and we ain't going out and telling the gospel. We're not going out and spreading the message. We're all fat and happy and just feeling good about ourselves. God's going to send the fire, people. That's what's happening. He's got that little burner, and he's turning it up on us. He wants everyone to come to know him. He doesn't want anyone to be lost. He doesn't want anyone to suffer. And so he's not going to let us sit back fat, happy, and lazy, not doing what we need to be doing. He's going to turn it up on the Church of America because we just think we could throw some money at something and that's going to fix it. We can't throw money at lost people. It doesn't work. We can go and help them, but it's better that we go and help them in person. Now, I'm just as guilty as everybody else of not going out there and doing that. I'm just as guilty, and I'm confessing. I have been lazy, set back, and done not enough. I've went on mission trips. I've done this show. I do things at church. I volunteer for all kinds of things, but that doesn't get the message out. We have to get out and talk to people. You got to get to know your neighbor. You got to get out and share your testimony. This morning I went to a prayer meeting. It was a men's prayer thing. I don't remember what's called, but I got invited by my neighbor because uh, we used to go to church together, and my neighbor was the one who had lost his wife last year to cancer, and we had been with him and his wife until she passed, and my wife and I had uh, worked and helped with them to the very end, and he wanted me to go to this. He's asked me several times, and this morning I decided to go with him, and I realized that I'm not I've not been in a small group in a long time. I've been serving. Uh, I've been serving in the church in the security team. I served in the youth as a teacher for a long time, but I had not been in a small group. And so it was good this morning to hear other Christian men share the problems that they had to deal with and open up about, my goodness gracious, I've got some kind of stupid McAfee thing popping up trying to shut me down. Every time I'm looking at something, it pops up again. Okay, but but it's important that men get together and come clean. And I like that about oath keepers. I mean, promise keepers. That back in the 80s and 90s, I guess it was late 80s, early 90s, maybe just early 90s. Promise keepers came out, and it was just men being challenged to be real and quit putting on fake. Everything's about me's perfect kind of thing. And I try to be transparent with you guys. I mean, I don't tend to ever mislead you or anything like that. But I try to always be transparent with you guys. I have failed over and over again, and the guy keeps forgiving me, and guy keeps picking me back up and dusting me off and put me back in the game. And he'll do the same thing with you. And it's important that you are sharing your testimony with other men, because I'm telling you, there's lots of guys out there that think that they're the only ones that are messing up and failing. And then they think that they can't be effectively used in the church. They think that they can't do things for God because they've messed up. That's the devil working on you guys. And you've got to step up, and you've got to get involved. You've got to get plugged in to a church, and you get plugged into a men's group. And if you don't have a men's group, start a men's group. And you guys need to get together, and you need to pray for one another, and you need to lift one another up, encourage one another with your stories. Because this morning was really good. I've been to these kind of groups before. I've started these groups before. I've been part of these groups before, and I've not been in one for a long time. And I think I'm going to keep going this. This is not a denomination that I normally would go to, but they believe in the gospel message just like I do, and they follow the Bible as far as I can tell. And so I'm going to hang out with these guys, I think, and I was really encouraged by it this morning. But it's important that you are confessing sin to one another. The Bible says to do that, and a lot of churches, oh, you ain't got to tell nobody but God. Well, yeah, you don't have to do anything with God, but God tells you, confess your sins one another. Why?
I can tell you.
Go ahead,
I
Doug.
was going to say, I can tell you right now that, the older I get, we have, just like you, I'm sure, we have younger people that are around us that we talk to that think this or that about church, or they've done this or that. And when you start telling them some things that you've done over the years,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, really? Or I think God puts things in your life that you can down the road share that with somebody else that's going through that same problem.
It's
And
encouraging.
It is encouraging. We have to encourage each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like with all this stuff going on now, I'm still encouraged. I'm disappointed, but I'm still encouraged. In that we don't have to stay here and deal with that forever. We're going someplace better in one day, and this is just temporary.
Right.
But, I think too, I think somebody was even talking about it over on YouTube with us a while ago. Me personally, I wish politicians would work together a little bit more and be a little bit more understanding. I tell you, I got into it with some liberals over the weekend, and you can just ask them the simplest question, and they just go off. Mm-hmm. and just lose their mind and start ranting and raving. And I was talking to this one gentleman, and I'm like, just tell me, because they had made the comment that they had done extensive research, and they were going to be voting for Biden because of the things he's done.
Hmm.
I said, okay. I said, well, with your extensive research, please tell me one thing that Joe Biden has done in 47 years. Just tell me one. And then he went on a rant about rioting and all this stuff and Trump. I was like, okay, I'll give you that. You don't like Trump. I got it.
Yeah.
You don't like him personally. You don't like anything about him.
Yeah.
Didn't ask you that. I said, tell me one thing Biden has done. And then I went on and was talking to him about, I confronted him on the rioting.
Mhm.
I told him, look where it's happening. Look what cities it's in.
Mhm.
Look who runs those cities, you know? And then he comes back. You're just trying to turn my words around. I'm like, they're your words, brother. You said it.
Uh-huh.
But he didn't want to hear it. And
They don't.
never did they give me one thing.
There's never a fact.
No.
There's never a fact to the argument. It's all emotion. You have to realize that people who identify with the Democratic Party are victims. They want to be children. They want to be cared for by someone. I'm serious. They don't want responsibility for themselves. They want someone else to take care of them. And people think, but at the heart of it, you look at what happens. They have to have some powerful person be their leader. They can't stand on their own. And the reason is because they're lost.
Yep.
They don't know Christ. They don't know that Christ says he is for you, not against you. He will give you the things that you need. You put your faith and trust in Christ alone. You don't put your faith and trust in government. Government will become your slave master. But they don't know, Doug. They don't. They're lost. They live by their emotion. They're controlled by their passions and their emotions. They live by the flesh. They don't have the mind of God, and so they cannot think except for what the world they live in. They live in a world that does not have a biblical worldview. And when you don't have a biblical worldview, you live in fear. And if you are in fear, you will vote for the guy who says, I can feel your pain, because that person is going to talk to their emotions. You look at Democrat politicians, they're always talking to the person's emotions and feeding that need that they have for someone to care for them.
Oh, yeah.
If they followed God, if they had a biblical worldview and understand that God is your provider, that your faith is in God, then they would not be following these crooks and swindlers and gangsters that are lying to them and leading them down a road to hell. And so it's that simple. They don't have a biblical worldview, so they cannot see things as we see when we have the mind of God as a new creation. Because when we died to our old flesh man, up until that point, we were an enemy of God. When we died and became a new creature in Christ, we rose again through the process of baptism. We have the mind of God now. We don't have the fear. Throughout the Bible, Jesus said over and over and over, fear not, do not fear, don't worry. I am with you. I'll be with you always. I will be with you to the end, and you'll be with me in heaven. We have a promise that goes beyond this worldview that is being preached by the school systems, of that we have one life and it's do all you can do and be all you can be and steal all you can steal and do everything you want the way you want to do it, because you're going to go and be dirt at the end of it. They're fearful. They're afraid to die. They're afraid to die to the point that they would rather have a slave master than have God as their master, to have God as their leader. A loving, compassionate God who sent his own son to be that sacrifice that they can have a relationship with him. They would rather follow after the slave masters on this earth, and they're just full of hate. And because it's the rage, they have fear, they have no way to get rid of their sins. They have no way to confess their sins to anybody. So all that burden of they have the guilt. The evidence of God is all around them, so they have that guilt of sin. They've got to do something with it, and so they use it in terms to hate. That's why they hate us so much, because we don't have that burden, and we are smiling and we're happy if we're following Christ and we're turning our lives over to God every day. If we're confessing our sin and getting it out of our hearts, we will have peace and joy in our hearts, and peace and joy is what we're talking about tonight. And you don't have that apart from Jesus. Now, you can have these gurus and these chanting guys and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, they're going to hell. They're not going to save themselves. And so, apart from us as believers going out there and giving the good news of peace and love, because it is Jesus tells us that He loves us, and that you can only have peace through Him. You can only have the peace that surpasses understanding by knowing Him and following Him. You can't ever have peace in this world following some politician or some shyster that's trying to rip off and send you to hell, because those guys are living fearful as well. They're all fearful of that judgment that's coming, and they know it's coming. They feel it, but they don't know how to get out of that situation because their worldview is totally get all you can get and kill anybody gets in your way. Sorry, I went off a little rant there.
No, you're good. I've been doing it all week.
Sure enough, but
it just irritates me.
Yeah,
and I can't say necessarily all liberals, because some Democrats are. I mean, I have friends that I associate with.
There's a difference between a Democrat and a liberal.
Well, there is. These are Democrats.
Right.
Liberals are a little different.
Just because you got a party affiliation doesn't mean you're a liberal idiot, but you got a good majority over there.
You know, one person commented to me that they were making their vote on the person that supported gay marriage, the person that supported the LGBT community, the person that gave free tuition to everybody. I'm like, well, free tuition just means they're going to be able to indoctrinate a bunch more kids into socialism. That's all they're going to
do. Free tuition is not free. Nothing's free. I mean,
that's what I try to say. I'm like, who do you think's paying for that free tuition?
You're going to be paying for it with interest and the big cut of the bureaucrats on top of it for the next 90 years of your life if you live that long. But it's because people haven't been taught the reality of economics. Our school systems do not teach economics. If they did, they would be booting out the Fed, and they would not be signing up for credit cards. I remember when I went to college, they was handing me credit card applications when I went to college, and I'm like, are you crazy? I can't even afford hardly to be here, and you want me to go out and borrow money on 21% interest? Oh, well, we're putting people to sleep over. John's been falling asleep. We better wrap this puppy up. We're getting into an hour. You got anything else, Doug?
I'm good on that. We'll see how it works out.
John, I'm sorry that we're putting you to sleep tonight. Put Steve to sleep.
Yeah.
All right, you can help out the show. Patches and stickers look like this. Subscribestar. We have a Subscribestars account, and I appreciate you guys that already donate. There's several different levels. There's Fester, and there's I don't remember how many. I should put all those over there. But there's a bunch of different levels you can give at. We appreciate you guys for giving us money. It helps out the show, help us pay your bills, helps us with we cost these websites and all this cameras and lights and green screens and bandwidth and all that stuff. Oathkeepers.org. Go over and check it out. Oathkeepers.org. They broadcast our stuff out there for you guys to listen to at your convenience on their own platforms. Their YouTube and their Facebook and their Twitter all got yanked because they're patriots. So go over and check them out and find out how to get connected, get on their news mailing list. Excuse me. Also, we have two others.
Axelson Tactical. Hey, you heard Troy talking about the rifles that we have that the guys at Axelson sent us. We were helping promote the foundation for Matt Axelson. They are tack driving machines. They make custom ARs. They make bolt guns, custom pistols, And then they have a store that has all kind of stuff in it. So if you want a high precision rifle, go check our buddies out at AxelsonUSA.com. Use the promo code God and Guns. They'll give you 10% discount on what you order if you like something. So, and you probably will. Also, Palmetto State Armory. Hey, they're an affiliate sponsor of ours. Yep. And you don't get a promo code, but you get pretty good deals with them. And if you're in the market to build an AR, pistol, rifle, or looking for a gun, ammo, different things, Palmetto State has it. So go check our buddies out at PalmettoStateArmory.com, and they will give you a good deal on some stuff.
Good deal. Just a comment, Dwayne here. Yep, you can give them facts, and they'll reject them because they won't accept anything that doesn't fit their worldview. That's exactly right. If you give people that have a different view than you facts that do not compute with their worldview, that their best life is now, that they don't have to worry about tomorrow because they can do whatever they want to. That's true. But the flip side is, if you do like Doug and you take a guy that doesn't know how to hunt and you teach him how to hunt, and while you're doing that, you talk to him about a couple scriptures that remind you of hunting, or some memories of your father teaching you how to hunt and things like that. And all of a sudden you got a dialogue and a relationship. You're not walking into that person, you're walking alongside that person.
Yep.
You can communicate once you start communicating, but you can't communicate until you start communicating. Does that make sense? You can't have a conversation with somebody about a hard subject without having a conversation about something that's not a hard subject, and walk that path with them. Once they start respecting you, they'll start listening to you about other things. It takes time. It's a process. It's not something that happens quickly. It's something that takes time. And Doug is a perfect example of how he does that with everybody he meets. He encourages them to go shooting or hunting or go fishing or something. And so you have the opportunity to then engage them in other aspects of their life once they trust you, that once you don't have harm intended for them, that you're not a Nazi or whatever new slogan they've got going for this year, that you're actually a living, breathing a person who loves and cares about them. Then they're going to listen to you about other things in life. But it takes that time to get there. Now, I'm just as guilty as everybody else this year. I have been beating that Republican bandwagon, and it doesn't do any good, because all you're doing is just driving those stoppers deeper in their ears, and they're putting on thicker glasses they can't see. But just it takes time. Just keep plugging away at it. Go ahead, Doug.
I was going to say, I can't help it, but sometimes I have a good time with it. It's kind of fun.
Yeah,
get it stirring. It's like poking a hornet's nest and then
running. But you know what's over with when they call your name.
Oh yeah,
they go.
Which don't take me just a second.
It's so predictable. They'll go with you for a little while, but then when you get them to the point where they can't come back at you, then you're. I think today the man called me a concrete head. A cement head. He called me a cement head. I'm like, so you're calling me names? I guess you're done. Never heard of else. It's always that they call you a name and they go away, or they come back with three friends. They all call you names too. Okay, call me names, but that doesn't change the fact that you're wrong.
one of the gentlemen I was trying to enlighten. Let's put it that way. That sounds good, doesn't it? I was trying to enlighten him.
Yeah.
He said, he made the comment that I was twisting his words around and this, that, and he didn't even read the rest of my message that I put for him.
They don't read anything.
He said, I didn't even read the rest of it. He said, if you can't spit out any truth, just stay off the keyboard. And I replied back to him and I said, let me tell you, Rusty. And his name was Rusty. I said, let me tell you, Rusty. I said, I just answered the questions that you posed, and I commented back what you said. And I said, I didn't turn anything around. I said, maybe you should go back and read what I wrote.
Yep.
I said, and if you still don't understand, maybe I can rewrite it so even you can understand it, Rusty. And
you fail.
And he was done. He was out.
He's gone.
He gone. He didn't want no more of that.
Yeah. But that, again, it goes back to that worldview. They can't get past that, the thing that it drives me off the wall, that they're more intelligent than you. Mm-hmm. That is like their big thing. Oh, I'm more intelligent than you. I went to a better school, or I've got a degree in this. I'm like, it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But it's just it's infuriating, but it's predictable, and we just need to accept that that's the way it is. Let's get on the armed citizen because we're gonna put everybody to sleep over there.
Let's do the armed citizen. So this week comes to us from Turtle Creek, Pennsylvania, of all places.
How about that?
One of the battleground places. So a 28-year-old woman in Turtle Creek, Pennsylvania, was forced to defend herself after being repeatedly assaulted by her boyfriend early on the morning of September 26, 2020. The incident began. Excuse me. The incident began around 2 a.m. that Saturday when a physical dispute broke out between a woman and her 24-year-old boyfriend. The dispute broke out because the boyfriend refused to leave her residence. For the next 3 hours, the woman was repeatedly assaulted and held against her will by her boyfriend. During that time, the boyfriend threatened to kill the woman. He then began searching the residence for the woman's legally possessed firearm. The woman retrieved the firearm before the boyfriend could find it. When he attempted to attack her again, the woman shot him several times. She then fled the residence and reported the incident to authorities at around 5:15 a.m. The boyfriend was found dead at the scene by police. And that comes to us from Greensburg, Pennsylvania. And it was on tribelive.com.
Wow. DRT, huh?
DRT, baby.
Gosh. Well, don't ever beat a woman. That's a lesson. That's a lesson right there for you, Doug.
Well, I learned that a lot. My daddy instilled that in me years ago.
Yeah, that's sort of one of those worldview things you should already know by now. But
You'd think.
But some people, they didn't have no daddies. That's where a lot of this comes from. A lot of people are raised up by the tribe. What was it? The village.
What every village has got in it.
Yeah. They're usually the leader. Okay.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
All right. Send your feedback to Troy at GuyandGunsPodcast.com or
Doug at GuyandGunsPodcast.com.
Please tell your friends about us. Hey, we were talking about that tonight. Tell your friends about us.
Yes.
That's how you spread it. It's the gospel way, right? It's also the freest, the most cheap way we can do it. Tell your friends about us. Leave us an iTunes review. Like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/Guy and Guns Podcast. And I cannot believe we made it all the way to the election. They didn't ban Guy and Guns Podcast. But I'm happy. Guy is on our side.
They tried to censor us.
Every post the last 4 days has been. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Click that ring bell and like this video if you're still over there on YouTube and haven't went to sleep. Follow us on Twitter at GuyandGunsPod. We still have a Twitter account. Follow us on Instagram. We still have an Instagram account, as far as I know. Search for us on MeWe. If you like to do gun trades, there's a lot of people making some money over on MeWe right now.
Yeah, they are.
Website is GuyandGunsPodcast.com, and Doug's about to release that puppy before my for my Christmas present. And then till next time, Doug, have a blessed week.
And keep your guns close, but keep your Bibles closer. Steve said he's still awake.
Now, guys, we're trying to put that intro and outro on the front and the back. It saved me a lot of time in the editing process. If you guys are still left with this, we probably blew your eardrums out. We will talk to you all later. You have a great week.
Good night, all.